Salmon, the king of fish. It can leap 6 meters. It easily swims more than 60 miles in a day. It is delicious to eat. And it is a top target fish for anglers all over the world. But its most unique feature is its ability to move between sea and river, as it must do to reproduce. A healthy sea and free-flowing rivers are fundamental for the life of the salmon. Let's start from the beginning with the life cycle of a salmon. At the bottom of the river, bedded among stones and gravel, the small larvae are hatched. After a couple of years, it develops into a smolt and can now survive in salt water. It is time to leave for the sea. A dangerous journey, but the ones who survive can now feast on herring and other fish. The salmon grows into an apex predator. After several years at sea, it is time to return back to home rivers and spawn. The salmon navigates rapids and waterfalls. Until it finds the spot where it was born. Males fight other males, and females compete for the best spawning sites. Finally, eggs are laid, safely buried under stones and gravel. Come spring, the unique life cycle of the salmon begins all over again. Over the last 100 years, the salmon has been facing new dangers. Dangers it is not adapted to overcome. The biggest threats to Baltic salmon are hydropower, damage and pollution to rivers, and overfishing. Hydropower can be a good and renewable source of energy. But in many cases it completely cuts off waterways. In Sweden, there is still no legislation obliging power companies to build passages for fish and other water organisms, with damaged ecosystems as a result. For salmon, connectivity is vital. Otherwise, it cannot reach its spawning grounds. Forestry has been important to the development of many Baltic countries. Large amounts of timber were floated downstream to saw and paper mills. To ease timber floating, rivers were straightened and cleared of boulders. Thousands of kilometers of living rivers were turned into sterile highways. Salmon has historically been a significant food source for people in Northern Europe. But for many decades, overfishing has been a problem. And we caused salmon stocks to collapse. Of the original 82 wild salmon rivers within the Baltic, only 39 still exist. Only 4 of the remaining stocks can be called strong. But solutions are within reach. When it comes to hydropower, it is technically possible to create artificial fish passages. Here's a passage in Sweden, where salmon, eels, perch and other river creatures can migrate upstream. Most importantly, they can also travel safely downstream without getting killed or damaged in turbines. In Sweden, there is one power company that stands out. They have built fishways at all their dams, and in doing so have attracted many new customers. But one company is not enough. It will take stronger legislation and action before most power companies act. In Sweden, the majority of hydropower stations have permission according to regulations dating back to 1918. That's a long time ago, and a lot has happened since. All hydropower stations should be required to have permission according to modern laws.
Så vi ska ha grov sten i botten och lite finare sten ovanpå där sen. Och så ska vi försöka bygga uppströms en lekplats som är mellan 6 till 8 kvadratmeter.
Rivers can be successfully restored from timber floating and other damage. Where work is done, the results come quick, in the form of fish and other wildlife. To solve overfishing, it is vital to get sustainable management in place. Sweden and Finland took a bold step and stopped long-line fishing for salmon at sea. The results came quickly, with increased amounts of spawning salmon returning to Baltic rivers. The key to sustainable salmon fishing in the Baltic is to stop fishing at sea on mixed populations and instead move on to fishing in estuaries and rivers with river-specific quotas. Clearly, salmon generates more money and jobs in a river than in a net at sea. Mörrum River in southern Sweden is famous for its salmon fishing. Fishing tourism contributes to the local economy in many ways. Only 200 salmon per year are taken by anglers, and sport fishing generates €5 million in income to the region. In comparison, local commercial fishing kills 400 salmon but generates only €20,000. For Baltic salmon, it is often neither socio-economically nor environmentally sustainable. Things must change, but individual commercial fishermen need income. Therefore, the Baltic Salmon Fund compensates commercial fishermen who voluntarily stop fishing on weak salmon stocks. Salmon need to be able to migrate freely. Rivers must be restored. Mixed stock fishing must stop. And river-specific management must be created. If the iconic Baltic salmon is to once again flourish and generate wealth and well-being for all Europe's citizens.